The city of Cape Town in South Africa is proceeding with a public auction of municipal land. And this is a move that's sparked strong opposition from indigenous groups, housing activists, and human rights bodies. Critics argue that the sale risks deepening historic land dispossession, threatens sites of cultural and spiritual significance, and prioritizes private development over urgent housing needs in one of the world's most unequal societies. The South African Human Rights Commission has also called for the process to be reconsidered. We're now joined by Sores Florus, who's the chairperson of the Southern African Aboriginal Congress, whose organization is part of a coalition that's challenging this auction. Thank you so much indeed for joining us and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you and your listeners, and thank you for having me.
For many of our listeners across the continent who are not very familiar with the local context, talk to us a little bit about why this land being auctioned has much more significance than just property up for sale.
Good morning. Thank you again, and thank you for the question. Yes, the land that's for sale is just not residential or industrial land. They are heritage sites, and they are also cultural and historic sites, if you want to put it that, for us and the people of Cape Town. And those are now going under the hammer, and that is very significant for us.
Tell us a little bit of that history that goes with a lot of the land that's being auctioned.
Well, I think the main one that stands out there is, amongst others, the Erupts Center, but then there's also a couple of environmental heritage sites. But the Erupts Center itself has been part of Cape Town, and as we say, Cape Town culture, or Cape Townian visible and physical culture. So most of the people growing up for the last 5 decades, 6 decades in Cape Town, they know the center. It's become an iconic landmark, and it surely got a lot of people hot under the collar, especially us, when it went up for sale, and we saw that it's one of the pieces that is up for sale.
The city of Cape Town says that, look, these sales are part of normal urban development and economic growth. Why do you believe that this process prioritizes private developers over housing and community needs?
The starting point here, it's not the first time it happens, number one, and it's a classic tale of the two cities. Everyone talks about Cape Town, or South Africa rather, by being one of the most unequal countries in the world when it comes to rich and poor. But in Cape Town, it is very much highlighted, and that comes from the old design of the cities, where our people have been removed from really their ancestral land and where they grew, and they were moved out of the city. And they are now living on the outskirts with no transport into town and no access to these sites. And now the sites is going under the hammer, but the public participations and the things that should happen has not happened. So, number one, it's for sale without the participation of the people. And then there's the affordability, because for everyone that's going to buy it, it's not going to be the poorest of the poor or the indigenous people who's been dispossessed of the land before. It's going to be people with lots of money, and that has priced us out of actually buying back land that really belongs to us in the first place. That's a starting point, but I think the main contention here is that it's done without public participation processes, and that it is going into private hands, and that is one of the big problems for us.
So what would you like to see happening? Let's say they did the consultation process. What would you prefer happens to this land?
Well, there's a lot of comments at the moment, and I personally have not said this must happen to the land, but the general feel is the public places should stay public places, if we're not only talking about the one place. But the land itself, we're not against development. We are not against landing and everyone being included in it, but the processes have to be followed because we were forced ultimately to bring legal action. As you said, the Human Rights Commission also stepped in, which is quite a relief for us. But what we like to see happen is proper processes followed, everyone participate in decision making, that there's access to justice for everyone, but that there's free, prior and consent as required from the indigenous people of what happens to our land in Cape Town.
You know, they talk about gentrification quite a bit, and we've been seeing it in other parts of the world, the UK, where I know quite well. Is this what you're seeing in Cape Town, where you get to a point where actually foreigners start to own more and more land in South Africa? Because when you take the US dollar and you take the pound, convert it to rands, they're buying properties for cheap in terms of what they would be paying back home.
Absolutely. It is very obviously visible. And it's not just people with money or immigrants and migrants with money, because we've got a situation with immigrants and migrants, and the one has the money and the other one services the money. And the problem we see is we're losing our land to both. So the one comes and buys it with a lot of money, and what comes shortly after is people that needs to work for the foreign nationals. And the people that come and work for these guys are also foreign nationals, and then the people needs land. And then they put them in our pockets of land, change the name of our place, and obviously get serviced in exchange for voting. That is what's happening, but it's very obvious. We can see it everywhere. So the places get built, the high-rises go up, and then not far from it, the shacks go up to support what has just happened.
You have taken some legal actions so far. Has that yielded any fruit, or is that still ongoing?
There's been several. We've launched our legal action on the 12th of February 2026, and it was dismissed on a technical challenge. And the technical challenge is that we do not have an advocate, because we feel that it's, first of all, very unfortunate that groups of interest like us have to go to this extremes to try and stop it, and that no political parties, no NGOs, and no other organizations took legal action up until that time. Yes, we are very happy there's a lot of awareness around it now and everyone is going, but the fact that justice has cost so much money that the poorest of the poor had to bring it in front of these courts to get their attention, welcomed attention, is very sad. But yes, there was no other action to take, legal action, and now there's a few other options with commissions and political parties and civil society in general, just having a look at it.
All right, so this auction might still go ahead today at this stage?
As far as we believe it is, they have moved the auction from a live auction at the DHL Stadium to an online auction, maybe in fear for further protests or actions like that. But we have written to, as the coalition, to the Human Rights Commission to urge them to act on their media release that should the city go forward, that they in fact will bring legal action. We've also wrote to some ministers in the government department, and one of the coalition groups fired up to the presidency themselves. So yes, there's a lot of people looking at it, and the auction, as far as we are concerned, is going ahead today.
All right. We wish you the best, and hopefully that sanity prevails. Sores, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you for yours. Have a great day.
That was Sores Florus, Chairperson of the Southern African Aboriginal Congress, whose organisation is part of a coalition opposing the sale of what they see as important sacred and heritage sites in the city of Cape Town.